right, this is part 2 of section 8.3. I can compute the amount of change. So we'll write the word change right here in the I can statement. And the warm-up starts off with this. If the price of a coat went up 25%, what percent of the original price would you pay? Well, we normally pay 100%, but if it went up another 25%, we actually end up paying 125% of the original price. And then by the same token, if the price of the coat was rolled back 25%, what percent of the original price would you end up paying? Again, compare that to 100%. If they roll back the price 25%, we're going to subtract the 25% instead of add the 25%, and we end up paying 75%. Now, when we were doing these problems in part 1, you may have noticed that there's a way to double check your answers, get the answer in a slightly different way, and what it involves is finding the answer in kind of the opposite order. So it gives us the final amount much more quickly, and usually the final amount, what we actually end up paying, that's the most important number that we're concerned with anyway. So here's an example of what we did yesterday. The old price was $16 and the increase was 30%. So the old price, we pay 100% of what that was, so that's $16, but it went up. Notice the plus 30% right there. So we multiply these two together. We want to find out what's 30% of $16. So 30%, there's the 0.30. And then times that by 16, so we end up with $4.80. That's the amount of the increase. That's the amount of the change. So then we take the original $16, we add the $4.80 together, and we end up with $20.80. So that would be the final answer, which is actually 130% of the original price. So where's our double check, and how can we find the answer more quickly? Well, what we do is we use the new percent, so this one right here, use the new percent to find the final price. Final price or final amount. So we'll put that right here, and then I want to show you how this works. So the instructions are slightly different than they were yesterday. It says find the new price, then find the amount of the markup or the discount. And it says round to the nearest hundredth as always. So here's the deal. We've got an old price of $52.85, and the price went up 8%. So the old price, $52, oops, 52, got to write that the right way, $52.85. The price went up, so we're going to add 8%. The new percent that we would pay would then be 108%. So what we want to find is what is 108% of that old price right here. So we want to find 108% of the old price. And I'm just going to put the old price of $52.85. So we'll go ahead and pull up the calculator here. Let's make this look right. So we're going to have, let's see, 1.08. So 1.08 times 52.85. So let's see what we have. 1.08, there's the 108%, times that by 52.85. Make sure everything's on our calculator the right way, hit enter, and we end up with 57.078. So that's $57.07 and just a little bit more. Is that little bit more enough to round it up? It is. So it's going to be $57.08. So the answer on this is $57.08. That's the new amount. It says find the new price, which we did, and then it says find the amount of the markup or the discount. Well, the price went up, so this is going to be a markup. So we're going to take this new price, that higher dollar amount, 57.08, and then we're going to subtract the original price of 52.85, and let's see what we get here. So 57.08, we'll subtract off the 52.85. See what we have. That looks good. And we end up with $4.23. So I'm going to put a dollar sign here, $4.23. And we'll circle that, and I'm just going to write mark up because we know that it went up. Okay, let's take a look at the next part. It says a 46.5% rollback on an item that was $222.99. So let's think about it this way. It normally cost $222.99. We normally pay 100%. We're going to roll that price back, so we're going to take off 46.5%. Let's figure out what the new percentage is. So we'll bring up the calculator. We're going to take 100%, and we're going to subtract 46.5. Now you might be pretty good and can figure that out in your head. That's awesome. So it's 53.5%. So we only end up paying 53.5% of the original price. So we want to know what is 53.5% of that original price. So 53.5% of the original price of $222.99. So we'll move that over 2 places. So we're going to have 0.535 times 222.99, and that's what we'll type into the calculator. So we'll clear this off, make it look nice. 0.535, there's our 53.5%, times 222.99, and we'll hit enter, and we end up with, ooh, this is interesting. So this is $119.29 and a little bit more. And on this one, remember, it's either going to be 29 or 1 up from that. It's either going to be 29 or 30, and that 9 is enough to bump it up. So our answer on this one is $119.30. So $119.30. We'll go ahead and circle that. That's the final price. And then we want to figure out what the markup or discount is. So to figure out the discount, what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we did up above. We're going to take the final price, which is $119.30, and we're going to subtract that original amount, $222.99. And I want to show you something interesting about the answer here. Now, when we did the subtraction, we ended up with $4.23. I want to show you what happens on this one. 119.30. Go ahead and put that extra 0 on there, and then subtract 222.99. Make sure everything looks good. It does. Now notice that this turns out to be negative. It's negative because we were subtracting that amount from the original price. So this tells us that it's a discount. The fact that it's negative turns out to be a discount. So $103.69. So 103.69. Put a $sign on there, circle that, and we're going to mark that as a discount. That's a reduction in the price. So discount right there. Now, prices are not the only thing that change, so there are other things that can change percentage-wise. So what we're going to do here is we're going to read each one of these problems, figure out the answer to the nearest hundredth, and on this one it says, again, we're going to find the new amount, then we're going to find the amount of change. So it says they had 428 points, so maybe stock market, something like that, but lost 70.4% of them. So this right here is the original amount, 428. That's the original 100%. They lost 70.4% of them, so we're going to subtract 70.4%. Let's figure out what percent is left. Now, again, you might be pretty good at this, but I'm going to go ahead and double check on the calculator. 100 minus 70.4, we end up with 29.6. So what that means is there's only 29.6% left. So we want to figure out what is 29.6% of that original amount, of that 428 points, because that's all that's left. So we'll move the decimal over 2 places. 0.296 of means times 428, and we'll throw that in the calculator and see what we end up with. So 0.296, and we'll multiply that by 428. Everything looks good there, and we get 126.688. It's either going to be 68 or 69. That 8 bumps it up to a 9, so this is going to be 126.69, and this is points we're keeping track of here, not dollars. So that right there is the new amount. It used to be 428. It dropped a whole bunch. It dropped all the way down to 126.69. Now, we want to find the amount of the change, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take this 126. Where did it end up? At the end. We're going to subtract where we started off. And again, notice what happens here when we do 126.69 and we subtract 428. Looks good there. We end up with a big negative. That means we lost that much. So this is 301.31. So 301.31, and I'm going to circle that, and I'm just going to write loss right here. Okay, that's how many points they lost. So we'll take a look at this last one. You'll notice that example B has an asterisk by it. It says the assembly line boosted production by 9.9%, and they had been making 850 cars. So doesn't seem too bad. Let's see if we can figure out why there'd be an asterisk by this. So again, we normally produce 100%, which is 850 cars. I'll go ahead and label that right here. Now, they boosted production by 9.9%, so we're going to add 9.9%. So we end up making 109.9% of what we used to, and that was 850 cars. So let's throw this in the calculator, but we've got to move this over. So this is going to be 1.099 of means times, so of 850. So we'll multiply those together. Grab the calculator. Let's see what we get. 1.099 times 850. And we end up with 934.15. So I'm going to write down 934.15. And let's take a look over here. This is a problem about cars. So could they have boosted the production to 934.1? Could they make 1/1500ths of a car, in other words? Probably not. Maybe they stopped for the night and they just have a car that's partially made or something like that. On a problem like this, we're probably going to round to the nearest whole car. So we now want to figure out, well, how much did production actually go up? So our answer on this one, nearest whole car, is going to be 934 cars. And now we can answer this final question. How much did it actually go up? Well, 934 minus 850. We'll pull out the calculator for that one. Again, if you're good at doing stuff like this in your head, that's awesome. If not, always a good idea to check your work, especially if it's a test or something like that. So we'll subtract the 850, and we end up with 84. So this is 84 cars. Okay, and I'll just put a little increase right there because they boosted production, where we could put boost right there. Okay, now what I'd like you to do is do the self-assessment down here. How are you feeling about this right now? And then we'll do problem number 17 from the practice assignment. Okay, I'm on the back side of the practice worksheet, and we're going to take a look at number 17. We're not going to fill it out completely, but we're just going to read through and make sure we all understand it. It says the price used to be P, so we'll use the variable P for the price. If the price went up 25%, write an expression using the variable P, so your answer is going to have a variable that represents the new price. So there's a hint here. Think hard and do what you've learned about with this type of problem. You're not going to get a number for this. The answer is going to be an expression with the variable P in it. So take a good look at that. Think hard. Good luck.